everybody. I hope you are doing well. Welcome into 1111. Mama D in the house. You could call me Danny. Danny, Mama D, whatever you want. Just don't swear at me. All right, you guys, back in the Nolan Wells case today. And with that, there's not a lot going on to talk about, really, that I want to talk about. I'm not going to get into, the creators are all getting at each other. I'm not into that. I'm into the case. And we have the autopsy sealed, which is what Mississippi does. Unlike a lot of the states that believe that autopsies should be public record, and that's their law, Mississippi does have the law that, yes, they would give it to the next of kin. One family member would get the autopsy results, unless it's not natural causes or it's a suspicious death. So we know it's not natural causes, and then it would go to the grand jury. So technically they're doing it right, but my gosh, with the amount of death threats and horrific things going on, couldn't they just wave that autopsy report in our face and be like, look, he drowned, if that was it? And that would end it all. But there's not happening. So it makes me and many others very suspicious as to why they sealed Nolan's autopsy. And if the second pathologist, the private autopsy, if that ME, medical examiner, doesn't have the parts from the first autopsy, he can't even do a decent job. He's inconclusive. So we don't have a lot on that, but there's something to it. Now, one thing I did note, that even in the second autopsy that the family paid for, or that the family had done, that the volunteer paid for, I can't remember who paid for it, somebody famous, there was never, and this is where every theory I have where no one got into a fight just goes and it's just done with, is that I don't remember hearing, and I went over it very thoroughly on the second autopsy, the preliminary, not the preliminary, but the second one the family did, that we do know was inconclusive. Okay. Why? There were no defensive wounds that I heard of. Like no defensive wounds on Nolan that we hear of. So I was thinking of when people fight, if they're on land, it's usually a put 'em up kind of boom, 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 right? And indeed, we do hear about fighting going on, not one fight, but two. And that's Trayston, and that's Warren's little brother. And Nolan didn't have any marks on him that suggest he had been in a fisticuffs. But then, what if it's a water fight? You know what I'm saying? Like a water fight. What happens, like in that one picture that was released in the United Cajun Navy report, where it looks like, it appears to be Trayston or someone, it could be Trayston, and somebody else having a standoff in the water. Let's say that breaks out into a fight in the water, depending on how deep the water is. I just don't think it's going to be a pow, pow, pow. It would almost, in fact, I think it would be manual trying to dunk the person, like trying to push them under the water. And would that leave any defensive marks on the victim? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. If the person is kept underwater, you could even be using your feet, you could be using your hands to just keep pushing them down, and there wouldn't be. So that's the only, knowing that there's no defensive signs on Nolan's body, according to what I know at this point, the only thing I could think of is a water fight. And if what we're hearing in that audio from the CETO is true. If it's true, they all seem quite surprised. This doesn't sound planned. This sounds like, oh my God, Nolan, wake up, oh my God. So, I don't know, could Nolan have dry drowned and that freaked him out? Okay, hear me out. We had to learn all about dry drowning in the Summer Wells case, and I had no clue it even existed until we covered the Summer Wells case, which means that you drown after you're out of the water, and it can be quite some time after, a few minutes to an hour or something like that, and that can happen, and the person succumbs to drowning after they're out of the water. I don't know. And I thought, okay, let's say that two boys are facing off to each other, a face-off, right? Face to face. And they go to get the person into the water. Naturally, their hands would go around the person's throat, that, to get them under the water, which puts their thumbs right in the throat area. That's the part of Nolan's autopsy that was withheld from the secondary autopsy. So I'm like, okay, that logically could have happened too. You feel me? So I think if this would have been a straight up autopsy that they're like, well, we excluded this, and this, I think they would have told us by now. So it makes me feel like it's a suspicious death. What are your thoughts on this? Hey, Mystery Diva, Carla Burgeon, Jennifer Swain, JG George, all my beautiful replay crew, and my lovely family. Good to see you all. So you have this idea that Trayston got into a big fight. He left. And I have the timeline. But the other question I have is it possible that Katie was on the original boat, the Trident? A lot of people have suggested that Katie could have been on Bart's boat. I'm not so sure it's Bart's boat. Let's get over here for a minute. So we have why hide it? Why autopsy secrecy? You know what I'm saying? Charlene says, yes, from the start, not right. Mystery Diva believes that it could be a sus death. I don't know. I'm not sure. If they had the results and they were just like so simple, they were just like, the boy drowned. Wouldn't they be flaunting that in the face of everybody so that people wouldn't have much to talk about? It's like Mississippi is like, let's give them something to talk about, right? And you're like, well, yeah, because you're keeping it all secret, like the poor mother. Think about how you must feel as Nolan's mother. Other strangers that are going to be meeting in the grand jury are going to know the details of how your son died, but you can't. That's a hard thing to swallow for me. Roofer. Maybe he was drugged and couldn't fight back. Maybe a choke hold from behind or out of the water, in your opinion. I think that would have left marks, wouldn't it? And true, toxicology's not back, and it's been plenty long enough. It's been over a month. They say, well, toxicology can take months. Well, let's put it this way. Every case I've ever worked, that's over 150 cases, every case I've ever worked that had anything to do where we're waiting on the toxicologies, 3 weeks, bingo, we've got it. So I personally believe that the toxicology is back with the autopsy. And I don't think they would have a grand jury meeting without the toxicology. I think that's going to be weighing in a lot of it, but it feels to me almost like they're going to meet. It's completely private. What happens behind them doors stays behind them doors. And I'm just wondering, if they're really just making up a game plan, how to wrap this up for everybody nice and tight. It does make me wonder. But also, in the cases that we've worked, we find out about Fight Club. You feel me? Like all these little rich, privileged brats, the ones that don't give a shit about anybody, that are just, whatever. They come from powerful little families that have nepotism. And if you don't know what nepotism is, Google it. It's basically, kind of like Sheriff Nanos did when he hired all his police officers in his force. He made sure that, it was somebody close to him that he could control, basically. So if it was a good friend of his, it didn't matter if that person had the skills or not. He gave him the detective job. And so when Nancy Guthrie went missing, Sheriff Nanos' detective team, homicide team, were rookies. Like their very first rodeo, their very first homicide investigation, nepotism. And we do have a great deal of nepotism in the elites, in the rich. And a lot of people say, well, this isn't about race. Okay, fine. You can think what you want. I believe that it's become about race. I don't know if what happened to Nolan had anything to do with black or white or not. But what I do feel is it had to do with privileged children that think and apparently can get away with whatever the hell they want. They have judges for mommies. They've got lawyers for daddies. They've got people in high places. They've got, people that own the entire boat, the whole boating market, basically. And they know all about boats. They know how to delete their track. I mean, we never even got Bart's actual track of his GPS. It wasn't in the report. It was left out. And yet, we've got Warren talking about Bart being in the mix in the morning. So it's not like Bart, as they suggest, came into the picture just for the show. It almost sounds like, according to listening to Warren, that Bart was part of the group. Which one of these boats that are labeled 1, 2, 3, Boat X, the Palm Beach, the Triton, which one of those boats would belong to Bart? That's my question. That's a big one for me. Hey, Charlene, how you doing? Exactly, says Mystery Diva. All right, so when I'm looking at this, I mean, it's so hard to get past this that, to me personally, I believe an accident happened that they covered up. I know a lot of people believe that it was premeditated and so forth. If that C-TOW audio is real, if it is, which I have no idea, but if it is, it clearly suggests something that wasn't planned. The kids are freaking out in the background. Oh my God, no. It suggests, if it's true, if it's real, that an accident happened and that Nolan ended up not okay after that. Now then, the route back that they take with the boat doesn't make sense according to what Warren says. Warren says they didn't make any stops. They went straight to Fort Bayou. That was his words, that they did not stop off anywhere, that they went straight to Fort Bayou. And the reason is because I believe he said Wyatt had to put the boat back in the plug back in the boat. Okay. But y'all did make stops along the way, including the one that's right next to your grandfather that you said you didn't do that. So for me, I don't believe Warren, just personally, because it's a contradiction against the best of my knowledge, which is that the GPS shows that he did make several stops. He stopped, he went over to Fort Bayou, he came back, he went back to Fort Bayou, he came back. And it's like, what is going on? And then the other thing, the girl that has went through Jackson, Mississippi and recorded all the cameras. And how come Ossifer Tater Tot can provide us with the footage of the departure to Horn Island, but we can't get any footage back when we know there are cameras in so many places? So who arrived back, right? Now, in this little footage that Katie is in allegedly, it all ties together really swell because they pan up. And when they pan up, it appears, just saying, it appears to be the same roof. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go over to Nancy Grace first, and then I'll show you the roof and why I think it's highly possible that Katie was on the Triton. But we'll see what you think. Okay, first start with Nancy.
The first autopsy of
Hold on.
Nolan Wells.
Her theory has always been that he did not drown. Her theory has always been that there's something wrong with this picture. There are additional questions that needs to be asked.
The state's autopsy is complete, but is being kept secret. Isn't an autopsy a public document?
Is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened?
That's what the family is saying. They don't believe he died by accident. That's the reason why Nolan Wells' mom is saying, I don't believe this.
Why is it being kept hidden from us, the public? What is in that autopsy, the first autopsy of Nolan Wells?
Her theory has always been that he did not drown.
It's not just me. I'm not the only one going, what is in that autopsy that they can't just show us? I mean, it's almost like an answer because there isn't an answer. There's something weird with that. Jenny Phil says, yes, stories don't match up at all so far of what we've heard. Aw, Jay Girl says prayers for Wells' family. Yeah, indeed. Because we need prayers, right? We definitely need prayers for that family. All right, let's jump over here. I wanted you to see something. So, I don't know if you saw this video. Let's do it first so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'll make it really big for you. As big as I can. Pay attention up here where my mouse is, right?
That was at 5:44. This one is at 5:24.
So they're taking a picture or a video, I should say, with their phone, and it's catching the underside of the boat tarp up here. And it looks very much almost identical, same coloring, same style as the Triton. I'll show you.
PM. Okay. There's Katie. And I know they're kind of dark, but these are screenshots from somebody. You can see in the back that
There's Horn Island.
It looks like they're just now leaving.
I'm going to rewind it. 5:24. And look up there. Do you see this?
24 PM. Okay. There.
Okay, let me go back. I think that's the best I can get it. Do you see this bar with the hoops? And then you see this dark blue canvassing boat canvas. And then it's got these eyelets with the rings threaded through. See that? Can you see that? Wonder if I can lighten that up. Okay, let's lighten this up. And then let's use contrast. Okay, so here's this bar that runs across this pole that's got the rings that are tied to these little eyelets up here and this dark blue cover, right? Okay, let's go over here and look at this. Now that's at 5:24 p.m. So who knows why, but they're still close to the island. And then I'm like, wait a minute. This is allegedly aboard the Triton, according to United Cajun Navy. And look what we have up here. We have the pole with the same rings, and we have that blue canvas material with the eyelets, and it's strung along. And so when you look at them together, let me get the picture I grabbed. Let's go ahead and lighten this picture up. Hold on, y'all. See what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't have to be exactly the same color because I'm messing with that just so you can see it. Is it the same? I don't know. Are all these boats the same? You know? I just find that so strange. But if we go on and we watch this, let me put this over here, make this small. Now, the Triton would have been out of there because it was being tracked on the GPS, and at what was the timeline? 4:31 is when they left. 4:31, GPS shows sinking boat Triton leaving. Okay? So that would suggest that at 5:15, Katie left the island without Nolan. Okay. So I wondered about that. And then listen to this.
That was at 5:44. This one is at 5:24 p.m. Okay. There's Katie. And I know they're kind of dark, but these are.
PCP says saying allegedly won't help. Look it up. Help what? Have we accused anybody? No, we haven't. And so therefore, we're 1,000% safe. We ask questions. We have the right to do that. We share our own feelings. We share our own thoughts. We share our own opinion. We're not stating facts. We're not making claims. So you can quit with your little thing about that. We don't appreciate being reminded. John Bono says, Katie McCormick looks like the girl with Warren in the pool picture. Oh, I'd have to check that out. Okay.
Screenshots from somebody. You can see in the back that they're, it looks like they're just now leaving. Do you see the boats in the back? Okay. It looks like they're just now leaving the island at 5:24. So here we go. Shows exactly. It's a snap. Jackson County, Mississippi, July 4th, 2026, 5:24 p.m. You cannot, you can't lie with this. It shows right here exactly where they are at what away from the island, because you can see in the background over here. Okay.
I don't know, y'all.
There you go. Look a little bit further offshore here. Look at this. 6:02 p.m. I'm going to kind of zoom out here. There she is right there. Look like
that looks like Katie.
Boat. They're kind of like squished in like sardines. So we
doesn't mean it's her, but it looks like her.
That they started heading out from the island around 5.
Okay.
Okay, because here at 5:24, you can tell that they're already off the island. You could see the boats in the background that are still.
All right. She's got a good point there. All right, let me show you this. you can see right here that Katie, and I'm going to see if we can see it anywhere else. Yeah, down here, you can see this teal color. She has a teal bathing suit on, and her friend has a blue, a dark blue and a light blue striped bathing suit. Teal and that. Now, here we go, nerdy, pink nerdy.
Here we've got the Snapchats from Katie, right? You're going to notice her teal swimsuit.
Yep,
right here,
teal.
we're going to notice a striped swimsuit.
Yep.
In this video from the 3 boats, you're going to see Bart's boat. And in this corner, you're going to see a girl in a striped swimsuit right here. And then right next to her, with the same hair, is a girl in a teal blue swimsuit. Katie is on Bart's boat in this picture. But wait, they tried to be real clever playing with the lighting on this. Hopefully you got your brightness turned all the way up, because you'll notice Katie is wearing a white hat. Now here we've got the picture from the tow, right? Teal swimsuit, white hat.
TCP, do you have a problem with one of my mods saying I think? Because she has the right to think however she wants. You want to show TCP to the door, please? Okay. So I paused it here because this girl that's on this boat does appear to match the clothing that Katie's wearing, and this is on the rescue boat. But it doesn't have to be Bart's boat, does it? Because is that Bart's boat? Is this Bart's boat? I thought they were rescuing the Triton, and they were filming the Triton. Because you see Wyatt on the phone, right?
Here we've got the Snapchats from Katie,
Let's watch
right?
this
You're
again.
going to notice her teal swimsuit. Right
Okay.
here, we're going to notice a
Yes.
striped swimsuit. In this video from the 3 boats, you're going to see Bart's boat. And in this corner, you're going to see a
Now that is Bart's boat, the one with the garment on the top.
girl in a striped swimsuit right here. And then right next to her, with the same hair, is a girl in a teal blue swimsuit. Katie is on Bart's boat in this picture. But wait,
In
they
that
tried
picture,
to be real clever playing
allegedly.
with the lighting on this. Hopefully you got your brightness turned all the way up, because you'll notice Katie is wearing a white hat. Now here
White
we got
hat.
the picture from the tow, right?
See what I'm saying? It's even the same kind of hat. Now, Katie is known, allegedly, for hosting large parties at her parents' property. I had heard, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't make it true, but that's what rumor has, to the best of my knowledge, right? And you have to wonder, was she there? Was she one of the female voices that we were hearing? I don't get this. Katie, I have a fly in here. I may have to get a fly swat. I left the back door open for a little too long with the boys earlier today, so I'm sure that's why. Land on me so I can kill you. But don't you find that so ever strange that Warren goes on and talks about the friends were texting back and forth about Katie, and I believe that's what he said. And then also that Katie texted one of his buddies. He has a lot of buddies. So who's his buddy? When he says buddy, he mentions Wyatt's name, so it's usually not Wyatt. He usually says Wyatt. But he does say my buddy, and I'm wondering, is that Bart? Is Bart the buddy that Warren uses the term buddy with? One of my buddies. Did Katie know him? I don't know. I have no idea. Wayne says, in your opinion, foul play. I feel there's a cover up. That female voice, says John. Right. Aw, thank you, Rachel Mary. Thank you. I'm covering this the way I do all cases. I try to stay out of the drama. I try to get to the bottom of the situation to get the truth, to understand it more. And it's looking to me like it's possible that Katie may have been on one of these boats with a friend. I don't know. This just seems so strange. Let's go down to this picture. Which one is it? This one. Where all the boats are. All right, let's go over. So they're not, okay, Warren here is on the Palm Beach, right here. But you've got boat 1, boat X, boat 2, and boat 3. And for some reason, the United Cajun Navy tracked these boats very closely. And boat X kind of disappears. And we don't have the name for boat X. But does it not look like it's got that blue tarp on the top? Wouldn't that be the Triton? Am I wrong? John is asking, did Wyatt really put out that post saying he wasn't even there? He was in Wisconsin? No, he did not. And it wasn't Wisconsin. It would have been Bart. And he didn't say he wasn't there. It was something along the lines that he had spent most the last year in, like, somewhere else. I can't remember, maybe Wyoming. No, Sash, it wasn't Warren. Bart, yeah. Sorry, meant Bart. Okay, yeah. Danny says, oh, MG, that red hat is fire. You love it? Yeah, I really like it. I've got one that I ordered 2 of them this time. So I'll throw one in the shop for you guys. There's only one, so you'll have to be first come, first serve. But you know, let's talk about these kids, the children of the rich. Let's talk about the privileged, the untouchables. Aren't they? I mean, we've even seen movies about it. It's real. It's real. My kids are white, and I wouldn't let them go to Horn Island with a bunch of rich kids on boats if you paid me, because I'd be poor. And their family can lawyer up like that. They got judges that can pull strings. They could do something stupid, just being kids, where it results in the death of my son. And, you know, the fact is, I'm on the outside looking in all of a sudden because they're going to shut me out. I'm not part of their luau. I'm not part of their supper club or their yacht club or any of that. I'm an outsider. And they all have this attitude of, you know, sticking together. It's almost as if that to get in those elite groups, you have to just do some things, you know, that you're not real proud of. And then you get up higher and higher power, more and more power. And then you get up there, and because, you know, everybody that gets up in those ranks has had to do something they're not so proud of. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. That they all protect each other as if they have no choice. Like, oh yeah, he could tell about that time I stole that stapler from, you know, Quick Trip. I don't know where that came from. So I have to protect that he took a donut from Mrs. Higgins' house, or he'll tell me about my stapler. Am I way far off? I mean, and I'm not saying that, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying these rich little brats that are entitled and act entitled, which you can clearly see how Warren behaved. You know, He gave an interview. He was very emotionless. Matter of fact, that's his best friend. And I couldn't believe how well he did on that interview. It was as if he had training or something. It was so matter of fact, like emotionless, no empathy. Just my opinion. It's how I felt, is that he didn't show a lot of sadness. And now they're trying to fix that because that was the complaint. Joan Ricker says, in my opinion, her sister was trying to create an alibi for Katie because I do think she was on her way to the party everyone was supposed to be going to. There's an entitled air, according to Rachel Mary, about them, even the way Warren spoke to the lady on the Ceto. That was Wyatt, from my understanding, not Warren. Wyatt's the one that spoke to the Ceto, and that was ridiculous. Completely entitled. John says, I went to high school with them, but never hung out. Wayne says, it's sickening, but you nailed it. The power of money, it's the proven fact. And that's where I feel that this whole thing has gone very awry. Like I said, I don't personally know if Nolan's passing was an accident or foul play, no more than you do. I don't know if it was race related or not. It could have been, but it could not have been. But what is evidence to me is that you have the victim being overshadowed by now the people that didn't seem to take this situation that serious when Nolan wanted to stay behind. Now they're the victims. They've got to have their get and goes and all this. And I'm like, wow, why would you need a legal fund for people that are making death threats? Don't the law pretty much handle that? Aren't they going to be criminally charged and therefore you don't need any legal representation because the law isn't going to put these people away? So what's your legal for? For suing all the creators. Okay. What are you suing them over? For them expressing themselves? Freedom of speech, of saying, I think, I feel, it appears, it's rumored that this happened, it's rumored that that happened. It's almost as if they're trying to sue the public opinion, the public court of opinion. And they're going to force everybody to shut down and intimidate them, bullying them if we question the story. Like, okay, you showed us, Asa for Tater Tot showed us how they all left the pier. They all left the dock, right? We saw the boats lined up. We can see all the people, the video. Where's the one coming back? Why haven't we got that? Where is that? And why is that not just so readily available if there's nothing to see? Wouldn't that really show a little bit more to us? I mean, at this point, if the Ceto audio is really about them freaking out because it's a dead battery or it's a dead this, a dead pump, and not Nolan, if that were the case, then it could suggest that Nolan actually went on the boat because nobody else sees him after everybody leaves at around 4. So what if Nolan did go on the boat, did go out to a party, something happened at the party, they were like, ah, shit, this can't happen at my mom and dad's, put him on the boat, let's get him back out there, and we can delete the track, and we don't have to save any of the GPS data, nobody will be the wiser, and we got family members that can help us with the whole boat tracking to cover that up. I don't know. It makes me really wonder what really happened. And why can't we see them returning from Horn Island. Where's the footage on that? The other thing is, I think it was Don Lemon, I don't know. Somebody was questioning, and it made me think the same thing. Where's the metadata on this boat rescue and tow that Bart allegedly is showing the video of? We've got the video, so where's the metadata that says that that was on the 4th, that that was that time, and that these are the people? I'm just curious. I'm not saying it's not the correct time or day. I'm just saying, why not show the proof? There's a lot of reasons why I find a lot of suspicion, and it feels so reminiscent of the Jay Slater case. Crazy Jane says Tristan is making the same mistake Nolan made. There's going to come a time when he's no longer useful to them boys. In my opinion, that wasn't Tristan yelling about the phone. He's not one of them. Could Tristan have been the one that actually did something? I don't know. Just asking questions. Riffin Riffer says, if this is revealed to be a hate crime, the uproar will be uncontrollable. John says they're all experienced boaters, as Warren said. So they knew that the Triton Sea Flight boat is designed to stay afloat. So their story about the bunch climbing on the stern came over. Yeah. I wish I knew more about boating. I wish I did. So you guys, I just feel it's a very, very strange that it appears as though we have the same female that looks so much like Katie that's wearing the teal bathing suit. It doesn't have to be her, but it does look like her figure, her stature. It would appear as though Katie was on the boat. And like I said, in her little thing, is she showing us the roof of the Triton boat? Because the Triton's got that blue topper with the rings and the bar, and I find that interesting. I would like to know, did something really happen on Horn Island that affected Nolan, or did he make it back home? What happened to Nolan? Why can't even the parent, why can't Nolan's own mother know what that autopsy report is? Why is it so secretive? Are they trying to figure out how to do damage control to get a plan together? And how come we hear about all the death threats being investigated by the FBI on all these other people, but we don't hear about the FBI investigating Nolan Wells' family getting death threats? I don't understand that. I get that it's a judge, which makes it federal, so maybe that's it. Crazy Jane says, I also believe the pool party pic is from July 3rd, 4th. It was posted when they asked for information about that weekend. Then it was quickly removed. Plus, it isn't that Bart in the picture. I don't know that I have that picture anymore. And if I do, it's in that corrupt file, because remember, I woke up one morning and every single file that I had on the entire Nolan Wells case was corrupt. Never had that in any other case. So I've only got the latest file that I've been building, but I can check into that. Jones says allegedly the phone calls to report Nolan missing were done later because a cop they were associated with would be on duty. I have no doubt that that could be true. That could be true. John says, yeah, I'm stuck on whether they brought him back and even in what condition. Yeah. I mean, who calls someone in missing to the Coast Guard, but then implies that the person doesn't need to be found and so they don't need to go look? Who does that? Yeah, Coast Guard. Yeah, I'm just calling about a friend of mine. Like the last time I saw him was 3 o'clock, cradling Katie, and I'm just out of the blue. I got to thinking, man, he's probably on somebody's couch sleeping it off. But I thought I should call the Coast Guard. It's not like I'm gonna lose sleep. I'm gonna go to bed. Yeah, I'll wake up. I'll have breakfast with my friends and stuff. But I just thought I should call the Coast Guard. Sir, what do you want us to do? Are we searching for someone? Is someone missing? I don't really know because, like, he was with somebody on land. But now we're having a hard time finding him. Alrighty, well, if you've got a missing boat with a missing person, call us back. Kind of energy. It's like, what the hell? Why are you calling Coast Guard? And I noticed how Warren, in his interview, got ahead of everything. Like he's training to be a politician or a lawyer, in my opinion. But he got ahead of everything. And I really wonder if he wasn't trying to get ahead of things. But that night would have been the one night that they could have gone back out and dumped a body. That would have been the one night. And if they dumped it far enough away, it wouldn't have returned back to where Nolan was seen last. They would want to make sure that Nolan was found. Do you see that fly? It's got me mad. They would have had to have dumped him almost legitimately right there, like almost on land. Or he would have washed up and completely different place. But he washed up right there where he was seen last. So then I got to thinking, if Nolan was seen last at the very tip where his body was found, who saw him way out there? They all want us to believe, the mainstream media is like, Nolan Wells was found in almost the same place he was seen last. By who? Who saw Nolan Wells that far out on the tip of the west part of the island where the rip current was? Who saw him there? And when? I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The entire scenario where you have that many people and nobody heard or saw anything, I can tell you right now, if it's between boats, there's a wall of boats on either side of you. If these two guys got into it, one could push the other under, and just by holding the throat, right? Of course, it would be reversed, but the thumbs would be on the person's throat. You could push them under, and they could drown. And in that, you would not hear Nolan crying for help. Do you ever hear anyone say they heard a scream or cry out, a yell for help from Nolan? No. So it was silent. Could they have hurried to get the hell out of there because the police were coming? They had minors drinking and they were fighting, and somebody had said, the cops are coming, and they got worried, and so they all freaked out. They didn't put the trim down on the boat, and they all took off like a boat out of hell. Would that have, could they have accidentally hit Nolan? Well, if they did, it didn't leave marks on his body. See what I'm saying? We only have that little bit of redness on the occipital bone. So in the soft tissue there. So it doesn't look like they hit him, or if he had propeller wounds, it'd be all over, right? So would there be self-defense wounds if somebody is choking the living hell out of you? I don't know, because the body floated for 2 days. Anything that was clawed off the attacker's arms or anything on their face or anything like that would make you think that the DNA would probably wash out of the nail beds. But their forearms would be where I would think that there would be defense wounds. And then I remembered watching Trayston's interview thinking, why does he have all them scratches and stuff on his arms? He said he got into a fight. but it made me wonder, why scratches on the arms? I don't know. I'll leave it to you. But in that, we're about to jump off here, and we're going to come back together for just a few minutes. For those of you that would like to continue on with me, I invite you to jump over and do the time warp with me. Same channel, same place, just completely different video. We're going to do 3 lives of 3. We're going to find out, we'll do a reading and find out what really happened on Horn Island. And is it possible that Nolan made it alive off of Horn Island? That's what I want to know. Was he alive on Horn Island and made it off? Or did he pass away on Horn Island? Because if he was alive and made it off, it could explain a lot of like them returning maybe at night before they called him in to deposit the body or something in that theory. I don't know. All right, my lovelies, that's what I have for you today. I appreciate your time that you spent with me. I'm going to continue to cover the Nolan Wells case as soon as anything new comes up. I'll bring it up to you. I just had those questions like, why are they holding this back? Seems like it'd be so easy to take that autopsy if it was just a mere drowning, and you've excluded blunt force trauma, you've excluded gunshot, you've excluded everything. Then why couldn't you just plop it up and be like, told y'all it was a drowning? But they don't do that. And with the neck missing, I'm thinking of, like I said, I have 4 children, all adults. 3 of them are males. If it's a fight on land, it's a fisticuff. If it's a water fight, it's going to be holding someone underwater. And the only thing that I can see that would leave evidence of it physically would be possibly inside here where the thumb pressed and may have bruised this trach, the actual you know what I'm saying, the throat. And that's the only part missing out of the autopsy. Was there water in the lungs? We don't even know that. But it does make me question it. It makes me question if it was a water fight. These kids, these rich people, raise their kids completely different than poor folks. And oftentimes, the rich kids have every want they've ever desired, and they get unattached to reality. I'm just saying, entitled. And we heard it in the CETO call, very entitled. In that, they'll fight. Just like Fight Club. Go read, I wouldn't say read the book, but get an understanding of it. They detach from reality. And what happens in Fight Club stays in Fight Club. I suggested that could have been what was going on with Kylie Rodney. I could be right in that. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever know. All right, my lovely Luz. Again, I appreciate you. I love you to the moon and back. I'm still praying, as are you, I hope, for Nolan Wells' family, and that the good wins over all the negative energy. I pray, I'm going to say a little different prayer tonight, that people get refocused into solving Nolan Wells' case, because right now the drama going on out there isn't even about Nolan. It's sad. But I think this has to do with more about privileged, entitled children that aren't being held accountable because they're untouchable, because they have powerful family. That's just my opinion, though. I could be totally wrong. See you again very soon. And if you're continuing on with me, it'll be just a minute. I'm going to get a fly swat. I'm going to kill a fly. See you soon. Love you. Thank you so much.
To the dirt I shall return when my eyes are closed. In the shadows, my enemies will think they won, but I am here to stay. Destiny will overcome. No, I am not afraid. Like a phoenix in the night, my soul will rise from the darkness.